It started out as a light-hearted prank between friends and family. My husband, Mark, had always been the type to laugh the loudest, pull the goofiest stunts, and never take anything too seriously. So when our group decided to leave him at the picnic site, just a few miles from home, we thought it would be harmless fun. "He'll laugh when he finds us waiting at the cafe," I said, chuckling as we drove away. Everyone joined in, teasing about how he'd probably wave down a car or call us, grinning like he always did. But that day, the joke didn't end the way we expected. Mark didn't come home that night. At first, I assumed he was trying to get back at us, maybe camping out or spending the night with a friend to make us worry. I laughed it off and told everyone not to panic. But when morning came and his phone was still off, the laughter disappeared from my voice. My stomach tightened with unease. By noon the next day, I called the police. They assured me that sometimes people just needed space, but I knew Mark. For all his silly behavior, he'd never leave me hanging like this. He wasn't one to hold grudges. My mind kept replaying the moment we'd driven off. The look on his face, half confused, half amused. Was that the last time I'd see him like that? The following days were filled with guilt and restless searching. His car was still at the picnic site, keys gone, but his backpack was in the trunk. It didn't make sense. He wouldn't just wander off without water or a phone. The authorities organized a search through the nearby woods. I joined them, calling his name until my voice cracked. Every rustle in the trees made my heart jump. But he wasn't there. Weeks passed. Friends stopped calling as often. People whispered about how the harmless prank might have gone too far. Some said maybe Mark just wanted to get away. That maybe our marriage hadn't been as perfect as it looked. Their words stung, but what hurt more was the truth buried in them. Lately, Mark had seemed distant. He'd been smiling, yes, but it was a tired smile, the kind someone wears to hide pain. Then one evening, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. When I answered, a shaky voice said, "Lena, it's me." My heart stopped. It was Mark. I burst into tears, half relief, half anger. "Where are you?" I shouted. He hesitated before replying, "Close. But not home. I need to talk to you first." We met at a small diner outside town. He looked different, thinner, sunburned, but calm in a way that unsettled me. I rushed to hug him, but he didn't hug back. "Mark, what happened? Where have you been?" I asked. He stared into his coffee and said quietly, "When you left me there, I realized something. You all thought it was funny, leaving me behind like I didn't matter. But in that moment, it hit me how invisible I'd become." His words cut deep. I tried to explain that it was a stupid joke, nothing more. But he shook his head. "It wasn't just the joke, Lena. It was years of being laughed at, dismissed, treated like I'm the fool of every story. That day just made it clear how little anyone saw me." I didn't know what to say. Guilt weighed on my chest like a stone. He told me he'd walked for miles, ended up at a small cabin owned by an old friend, and stayed there to think. I needed to figure out if going back even made sense, he admitted. But then I thought about how much I still love you. That's why I came back, not for the joke to end, but to start over. I cried, apologizing over and over, but Mark just looked tired. "You can't undo what happened," he said softly. "But maybe we can learn from it." We drove home that night in silence. I kept glancing at him, afraid he'd disappear again. Back at home, everything looked the same. The couch, the framed photos, his half-read book on the shelf. Yet something between us had shifted. He unpacked his bag quietly, then went to the backyard where he used to joke about building a fire pit. He stood there for a long time, staring into the distance. Over the next few weeks, we began to talk more honestly than ever before. He told me about how small he'd felt in his own life, about the laughter that used to comfort him, but now only reminded him of loneliness. I listened, really listened, for the first time. The man everyone called foolish had more depth than I'd ever cared to notice. It's been months now since that day. We no longer make jokes at each other's expense. Sometimes, when I think about how close I came to losing him, I shiver. The prank that was supposed to make us laugh taught us something else entirely. That love dies in silence, not in anger, and that no one deserves to feel like a joke in their own home. And though Mark forgave us, I still haven't forgiven myself. Because when he came back, it wasn't just our marriage that changed, It was me. I finally learned that the people we call foolish are often the ones who carry the heaviest hearts, waiting for someone to finally see them.